The Indian Air Force will soon be flying a fifth-generation stealth fighter jet even before the AMCA. This bombshell revelation has been made by Defence Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh, who indicated that talks are ongoing behind the scenes with an international ally or partner. But who is this ally? Are talks ongoing with Russia for the Sukhoi 57 ahead of Putin's India visit, or are secret negotiations taking place with the United States for the F-35, with Donald Trump also expected to visit India for the Quad Summit later this year?
We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters.
The Defence Secretary told CNBC TV18, quote, "As far as our steps in this regard are concerned, we are talking to our partners on the fifth-generation fighter aircraft program. As of now, those discussions have not reached a stage where we can start sharing this with the media," unquote. Both the Sukhoi 57 as well as the F-35 were in India earlier this year to participate in Asia's largest air show, the Aero India 2025. Though a British F-35 has since then made Kerala its home after an emergency landing. The Defence Secretary adds that the partner will be revealed when the time is right, adding, quote, "I don't think we can do a blow-by-blow accounting of what we are doing in these matters. These are sensitive negotiations. When they reach a tangible stage, be it an acceptance of necessity or an RFP or a final contract, that is when the media will come to know," unquote. The indigenous AMCA is reportedly expected to take another 10 years or a decade, and in the midst of this, the government has now virtually confirmed that India will be looking to buy an interim stealth fighter. So there are only two contenders. Both Russia and the US have publicly offered their state-of-the-art fifth-generation fighter platforms to India, which is the world's largest arms importer. But which country and which aircraft has the edge? Now, one thing is for sure. Apart from the technical abilities of the F-35 versus the Sukhoi 57, geopolitics and diplomacy might also play a huge role in India's final choice. So who will the Modi government choose? Recent developments may give us a hint. Let's take a closer look. The talks of India buying a fifth-generation stealth fighter come even as a US delegation recently postponed a visit to India concerning the F-35 fighter jets. As per Defence News India, this visit was planned by a senior US delegation including officials from the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, as well as Lockheed Martin, the manufacturer of the F-35. Now, that meet was scheduled to take place in July 2025, but it has been postponed. It was intended to be the first official briefing on supplying the advanced F-35A variant to the Indian Air Force, but reports say that it has been postponed and no official reason has been provided as of now. While defense commentators suggest this indicates a serious setback to the F-35 and advantage Sukhoi 57, there are several other conspiracy theories on social media. Some users on social media suggest the US has already made a British F-35 available to India to study in Kerala, though that seems far-fetched, as the Kerala F-35 seems to have a genuine technical malfunction. Now, even though the US team postponed its visit for now, it may choose to accompany the US President Donald Trump, who has accepted PM Modi's invitation and is expected to attend the hugely significant Quad Summit, which will be held in New Delhi later this year. Meanwhile, Trump is not the only president India is expected to host this year. Russian President Vladimir Putin is scheduled to visit India later this year, marking his first trip to the country since the start of the Ukraine war back in 2022. Now, Russia's Su-57 offer seems tailor-made for India's defense needs. However, defense tech delivery delays from Moscow, including the final two squadrons of the S-400, have raised questions. Putin has offered India an export version of his Su-57 stealth fighter, the Su-57E. At Aero India 2025 in February, the Sukhoi 57 jet made its debut in India and actually grabbed more headlines and attention than the F-35. Amidst global turmoil, Russia is also keen to maintain its defense sales to India, even as New Delhi seeks strategic autonomy and is diversifying its weapons systems. During the Aero India, Russian officials proposed a joint production of the fighter jet in India and a complete transfer of technology along with the source code for the Sukhoi 57 Felon. Now that's as good an offer as the Indian Air Force will ever get. Having the source code of a fighter jet will enable the IAF to integrate made-in-India weapon systems as well as missiles on the Su-57. In fact, according to this CNBC report, Moscow's offer is being actively considered by the Modi government for co-production of these stealth fighter jets right here in India. It remains to be seen if the United States can match this Russian offer, though it is highly unlikely that the US will part ways with the F-35's complete transfer of technology, let alone the source code. Now, one question arises. As India and US are locked in negotiations over a historic trade deal, could the F-35 be used as a leverage in this deal from either side? The US President Trump himself made a very public offer to sell the F-35 to India. During President Trump's February 2025 meeting with Prime Minister Modi in the White House, he announced that the US is paving way for providing the F-35 stealth fighter and boost defense sales to India. But the joint statement of the two countries did not mention nor name the aircraft, but said the leaders pledged to accelerate defense technology cooperation across space, air defense, missile, maritime, and undersea technologies. Unquote. Just some time later, the US Vice President J.D. Vance again made another offer for the F-35 during his visit to India.
American fifth-generation F-35s, for example, would give the Indian Air Force.
Lockheed Martin has indicated that it will back Trump's F-35 offer while signaling openness to strategic sale of its prized asset to New Delhi. For Lockheed Martin, the F-35 sale to India would be a lifesaver. The company has lost the sixth-generation NGAD contract against Boeing, which will now be manufacturing the F-47. So the F-35 sales to India would offset any losses and be another victory for the world's costliest ever defense platform, with reportedly $1.7 trillion spent on the development and production of the F-35. When inquired further on whether India had formally received any proposals from Russia or the US, the Defense Secretary repeated, "I don't know, frankly, because some of this would take place at the service level. But again, let's leave this topic." Unquote. The Indian Air Force's squadron strength has been reduced to just 31, which is way below the sanctioned 42 squadrons needed for any two-front war scenarios. This also comes amid the rapid expansion of the Chinese Air Force, which already flies over 200 J-20 stealth fighters. Due to these reasons, the Indian Air Force is in urgent need for reinforcements. Reports indicate that Pakistan could soon deploy Chinese fifth-generation J-35 fighters, though there is no official confirmation on when that could actually happen. So is a deal around the corner for India or not? Let's try and evaluate which fighter jet will be the most suitable for Indian Air Force and what are the parameters that need to be considered, keeping in mind any future border conflict. The F-35 and the Sukhoi 57 come with their own distinct advantages for the Indian Air Force, but the best choice depends on India's operational priorities and strategic considerations. So the F-35 excels in offensive roles with advanced all-aspect stealth, networked warfare capabilities, and the ability to penetrate heavily defended airspace undetected. Israel has shown how it has used the F-35 successfully in active war zones, from Iran to Gaza, Syria, and even Lebanon. The F-35 also acts as a forward sensor. It can gather intelligence and coordinate larger attacks. It is the ideal fighter jet for deep strikes behind enemy lines if it can be integrated with other supporting systems, including communication and maintenance. Its one big disadvantage is that India has never used American fighter jets. Thus, an entire new ecosystem will need to be set up, right from pilot training to mission control. It also has very high acquisition and operating costs, strict export controls, and probably no transfer of critical technologies. On the other hand, it could be argued that the Sukhoi 57 is designed primarily for defensive operations. This is purely because Russia has not actively flown the Su-57 over Ukraine or used it to dominate the Ukrainian airspace. Instead, Moscow has used it for long-range strike missions from standoff distances. With a strong front aspect stealth, super maneuverability, and advanced radar suits, it can evade most enemy air defense systems as well as reportedly track enemy stealth aircraft like the F-35 simply due to its integration with air defense grid and radar systems including the S-400 and S-500s. Its advantages include that it is significantly cheaper, costing up to 70% less than the F-35. And it also offers easier integration with the Indian Air Force's existing Russian origin fleet like the Su-30s. The Sukhoi 57 also allows for a larger fleet and lower operating costs and is more likely to come with technology transfer and fewer political restrictions. According to a report by the Eurasian Times, if the Indian Air Force prioritizes deep strikes within enemy territory, along with network warfare and Western interoperability, the F-35 may be better suited. Whereas if the Indian Air Force wants to focus more on cost effectiveness, defense operations, fleet size, and technology transfer, then the Sukhoi 57 may be more aligned with its immediate requirements. Now, aside from these foreign deals, India is also simultaneously aiming at becoming more self-reliant in developing its own fighter jets, especially the AMCA. The stealth fighter project gained momentum just a few months ago with cabinet approval and a competitive prototype development model open to both the HAL and private firms. Requests for information have been issued and prototype contracts are expected in the coming 3 to 6 months with a 10-year final development roadmap. India will also sign an AMCA engine co-development deal with either France's Safran or the UK's Rolls-Royce, with Japan also the dark horse in this race. The key focus of the AMCA program is on indigenous production. India wants to reduce its reliance and dependence on foreign military imports and strengthen its own domestic aerospace and defense industry. This push for self-reliance or Atmanirbharta is driven by strategic concerns, including rising regional and global threats and the need for technological sovereignty and the desire to develop a robust industrial ecosystem that can support future defense projects. With the AMCA, India aims to join the ranks of United States, China, and Russia as the only countries and operators of indigenous homegrown stealth fighter jets. This will significantly boost Bharat's air power and defense capabilities. But what do you believe? American F-35 or the Russian Su-57? Which fighter jet would give India the edge or an advantage in any future conflict? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.